Hey there. Thanks for joining me for these quick tips for online teaching. I'm your host, Jenna Camp. And today, we're talking about note-taking scaffolds. I've had many conversations with teachers over the past few months about how scholars are learning, not if or how much, but specifically how. What tools are scholars utilizing to help them learn and remember their learning? Teachers can rely on all sorts of different note-taking strategies for their neuro and physical diverse scholars. Some provide access to online note-taking applications like Evernote. Some create their own digital notebooks for their class scholars. And some have basically bypassed note-taking altogether. This quick tips is focused on keeping it simple. Good old tried and true paper-based note-taking scaffolds that can easily translate to online digital format that we find ourselves in these days. So, based on research conducted with scholars from elementary through college level, guided notes have been shown to increase student achievement for the general ed population as well as for your neurodiverse and linguistic diverse scholars. Guided notes provide an information frame for note-taking and leaves plenty of space for scholars to write in key information and details. Effective for notes based on a text or lecture, guided notes can also be used as a structure for collaboration, collaborative study, or discussion. To create these for online or distance learning, simply upload a document to Google and have scholars make a copy of it for themselves, which they can then use as they follow along with your lecture or slides presentation or an asynchronously assigned text. Cloze notes are like guided notes on amphetamines. I used to think Cloze was an acronym, but it turns out it's an abbreviation for closure. The practice comes from a reading comprehension assessment, but here we're using the Cloze procedure as a note-taking structure. To create Cloze notes, the teacher's lecture notes can be simplified and turned into a template with blank spaces. I like to provide the first letter of the missing words so that scholars are more likely to get the right word in the right blank. Highlighting the blank spaces is particularly effective, especially because that triggers more visual memory frames. Cloze notes are really useful for definitions or procedures that must be memorized precisely. In this way, the teacher is more certain the information is expressed clearly from which scholars can study. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having scholars take good old handwritten notes, right? Though there has been much debate about this, research does suggest that handwritten notes are more effective than digital notes for learning and recall. For ease of format and cross-curricular adaptability, I've always been a fan of Cornell Notes, telling my scholars if it's good enough for graduate students at one of the nation's top universities, it's good enough for them. Cornell Notes are my go-to scaffolding for note making. So versatile and yet so simple. If during distance learning, you want to be sure your scholars are taking notes at home, simply have them take a photo of their notes pages and upload that to an email or to your learning management system. Finally, recent research has put a spotlight on sketchnoting, which is the inclusion of doodles, images, symbols in your notes to highlight key information, to make abstract concepts more concrete, to identify the relationship between terms, stuff like that. The use of sketchnoting has been shown to significantly improve memory and learning over text-only notes. Doug Neal of verbaltovisual.com is an expert sketchnoting advocate. Here is an image from Doug Neal's YouTube video, Improving Cornell Notes with Sketchnoting Techniques. Let me walk you through both the traditional Cornell Note structure on the left and Doug's sketchnoted awesomeness on the right. Cornell Notes have a four-part basic function. Let's take a walk around them. There's the top where you can put the topic, the name of the class or the professor, the date, basic identifying information like that. The large bulk of the page has two columns, a small thin Q column on the left. That's about an inch away from the red line of a standard notebook page. And then the notes column, which is where the scholar takes a running in the moment notes along with the professor or the video or the notes text that the scholar is reading. At the bottom of the page down here is where the scholar writes a 1 to 2 sentence summary. Now, depending on the length of the lecture or video or text that the notes are coming from, this summary might be left to the end. If you're taking 2 or 3 or 4 pages of notes on one topic, you might leave that to the end. Scholars can also choose to have it at the end of each page. The point is with Cornell Notes, the review is built right in so that these key ideas are not provided ahead of time. Those are generated after the scholar is done with all of the note taking and goes back through those notes and extrapolates the key idea to put it into that Q column. Over here, you see Doug Neal's version of Sketchnotes, and it is, again, exactly the same process, except he's using images, symbols, different sizes and styles of text font to make a more visually attractive space. Here he always has the date. So there's text here separated by these really bold dividers. Sometimes the next section might include an image with along with some text. You can use bulleted notes. You can use a numbered list. All of those are appropriate. You can have arrows drawn between to show the relationships. Then when the scholar is extrapolating ideas, there might be your own, each scholar can create their own icons for quick reference. Doug uses stars for key ideas. I've always used a light bulb. Important person, he has a little thing. Guiding questions have the question symbol. Important details have a what do you call those? Not a microscope, but a magnifying glass. Knew I'd get that. So you can use whatever icons or images make the most sense to you. Sometimes as a teacher, I provide some of these as suggestions for scholars, and sometimes they just create their own. The summary at the bottom can be 1 or 2 sentences, or it might also be more of a scene or a diagram. Any of that works to help the scholar take the notes to begin with and then organize and process that information later. Thank you for joining me. For more quick tips for online teaching, check out www.jennacamp.com or find me on Facebook or Instagram at Jennacamp Educational. Thanks so much.